I've got two really big Big Ten coaching situations that I want to talk to you about here. One addresses the Rick Pitino situation, the rumors about him going to Indiana. And the other one involves Luke Fickell's surprise contract extension at Wisconsin. So let's start with the Badgers. We'll get to both of them here. But in a surprise move, at least a surprise move to me and many Badger fans out there, I am sure, the Wisconsin Badgers football program extended coach Luke Fickell's contract by a year to 2032. Now, he makes almost $8 million a year. His buyout is big still at $40 million a year. And don't get me wrong, I like Luke Fickell. I like him. I think he's a very good football coach. But he's going into a very pivotal third year with the Badgers in a program that's pivotal because their first two seasons under Fickell have been underwhelming. They've been disappointing. In fact, the Badgers are coming off a 5-7 record this year. And to make that record sound even worse, the Badgers ended the season with a 5-game losing streak. That means for over a month, actually about a month and a half, they were one win away from bowl eligibility, and they could not punch through and get that 6th win. So 2024 was the Badgers' first losing season since 2001, going all the way back to Barry Alvarez. And this was the last time the Badgers failed to make a bowl game. So they had 22 straight seasons of making it to a bowl game. That got snapped. In Fickell's 2 years, he has gone a pedestrian 13-13. That doesn't scream contract extension or rollover to me. The problem with Fickell and the Badgers, for an honest assessment, he hasn't been able to get quarterback right. Hadn't been able to find the right guy at quarterback. And he's been mowing through transfers left and right. And he's only been there 2 seasons. Remember, he and offensive coordinator Phil Longo, who had some great success putting up some numbers with North Carolina as an offensive coordinator there. They came in, they were going to dismantle one of the best running attack programs in the country with all those big offensive linemen and all the running backs that they did inherit. And they were going to turn the Badger offense into an exciting air raid attack. Going to be throwing the ball over the place. But the problem was, first of all, in year one, transfer quarterback Tanner Mordecai wasn't that guy. He was a game manager runner. He wasn't a guy that was slinging it down the field. In year two, they brought in Miami transfer Tyler Van Dyke, and they were very excited about it. I was not. If you go back and watch any of our podcasts, I saw how inconsistent he was at Miami, and I didn't think that was going to be a good deal. Unfortunately for him, he got hurt early on in that Alabama game. Braden Locke came in, was not as accurate of a passer as we thought, it turns out. And so they've just struggled at quarterback. Along the way, Fickell even fired Longo as his offensive coordinator. So looking ahead to 2025, Fickell is going to try and find a third transfer quarterback, and he's going to look at Billy Edwards coming in from Maryland. Now, the Terps struggled last year, but Edwards could move the ball. He had some good passing stats. They just didn't win a lot of football games. He replaced Talia Tagovailoa and completed 65% of his passes in that offense. He threw for almost 2,900 yards. He threw 15 touchdowns and had 9 interceptions, which is a little high. But he's better than anybody the Badgers have had recently, so maybe an upgrade here. But the real reason I think that Luke Fickell, I think there are 2 reasons that Fickell got extended here despite a mediocre start for the first 2 years. I suspect that the main one is because of 4-star quarterback recruit Carter Smith, who's an interesting story in and of himself. Smith is from Bishop Verot in Fort Myers, Florida, and he was all set on going to Michigan. He verbally committed to Jim Harbaugh in 2023, and he was still set on going to Ann Arbor, even though Harbaugh left and Sharon Moore was there. He was good to go right up until about last November, when Michigan started making calls to the number 1 recruit in the country and 5-star quarterback Bryce Underwood, who they flipped at the very last second from LSU and offered him a $12.5 million name, image, and likeness deal. As that was going on, Carter said, I'm out of here. I caught wind of it. I'm out of here. He decommitted, and to many people's surprise, he landed at Wisconsin. He's like, why not? They haven't got anything going at quarterback there. Let me see what I can do there. So that get by Fickell, I think, is perhaps the main reason that he earned an extension after a rough 2-year start. Nobody wanted to risk losing a promising quarterback like this, and any future coaching changes would probably hinder that at Camp Randall. So he gets to stay, I think, and see if this kid can get developed and get in the lineup, if not this year, next year. Plus, second reason, the Badgers' schedule is brutal in 2025. At Alabama, at Michigan, 3 home games in a row, but it's Iowa, Ohio State, and Oregon. Ouch. Then at 11-win Indiana, and then host 10-win Illinois. There could be some more losses come. It could be another mediocre third year before Luke Fickell gets things turned around, and maybe somebody in the administration who likes Fickell said, hey, this is going to be rough. Let's get that extension going now. That'll buy us some time. For now, Fickell, time is on the side to get the Badgers turned around. That's my theory as to what happened there. What about you? Hit me up, Badger fans. Let's hear from you in the comment section. Meanwhile, the Sporting News is using a suggestion from 24/7 Sports and a story they did to do a story of their own, connecting Rick Pitino to the Indiana Hoosier coaching vacancy that's going to open up when Mike Woodson steps down at the end of the season. Now, I'm going to level with you right here. Okay. I'm the host of Lockdown Big Ten. I talk about Big Ten every day. I'm also an Indiana grad, and I personally know Indiana Athletic Director Scott Dolson, and I will straight up tell you right now, as of today, I have no idea who the next basketball coach is going to be of the Indiana Hoosiers. No idea. But I will tell you this, it ain't going to be Rick Pitino. No way. All these stories, hypotheses, no. People are just guessing, throwing stuff against the wall. And it pops up. Everybody that puts a list together, hey, who's going to be the head coach at Indiana? Here's the top 5 candidates. You know, Rick Pitino's always on their list. They get good headlines. That's what they do. Look, from a pure basketball standpoint, Rick Pitino is one of the best college basketball coaches of all time. Certainly one of the best I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I'm sure he would like one more crack at the big time because his career's taken a few hits. His resume is complicated to say the least. It's got a lot of asterisks on it. He's a Naismith Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. He was the first coach to lead 3 programs to the Final Four. He's the only coach to win a national championship at 2 different schools. Unofficially, of course, because one was taken away. He's currently the head coach at St. John's. He's been at Boston U, took Providence to a Final Four, took Kentucky to a national title in 96, coached the Knicks, coached the Celtics, coached Louisville to a national title in 2013, which has been removed. They're appealing that still to this day. He's been at Iona and he's been at St. John's. Been around. There's a reason he's been moving around a lot. But the resume says 7 Final Fours, 2 of which were taken away. Couple national championships, 1 that was taken away. The NCAA vacated 123 wins from Louisville from 2011 to 2015, including that national championship. That was following an FBI investigation into corrupt recruiting violations. In 2017 to 2018, the NCAA suspended Patino for 5 games for his lack of oversight in an escort sex scandal involving recruits. Louisville then fired Patino for cause following his implication in the FBI investigation. All right. I'm here to tell you that Indiana wants no part of that baggage. They got a squeaky clean image going back to the days of Bob Knight, and that means something to people around there in Indiana. And they haven't recovered from Calvin Sampson's days there when he was busted by the NCAA for making too many phone calls and texts to recruits. Those rules, by the way, have been eliminated as stupid since then. Sampson wouldn't have got busted for that if that were today. And he has since gone on to win a lot of games with the Houston Cougars. But, you know, that's the problem with Indiana. They haven't recovered from any of the coaches since Bob Knight left in 2000. The last quarter of a century. Mike Davis took over. Now, he actually got him to a national championship in 2002 against Maryland. Kelvin Sampson took over. Dan Dockich filled in. Tom Crean had a 9-year run. We recruited pretty well, but he couldn't coach how to defend an inbound pass underneath the basket, and he underachieved in the postseason. So he was gone. Archie Miller was a painful run for the Hoosiers. And, of course, now former Knight player Mike Woodson is stepping down. So I don't know who the next coach is going to be, but it's not going to be Rick Pitino. Hoosier fans, let's hear from you. Hit me up on the comments on that as well. All right, let's talk about some hoops this weekend. Tonight, Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox. 14th ranked Michigan State, 21-5, taking on 12th ranked Michigan, 20-5. First place is on the line. 8 o'clock on Fox TV tonight. Saturday, we got Oregon at 11th ranked Wisconsin. That's at noon Eastern on Fox. Penn State is at Minnesota, 2 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. Washington is at Iowa. That game is on FS1. And third ranked Duke taking on Illinois, 8 o'clock on Fox, prime time. Yeah, little ACC Big Ten matchup. And then on Sunday, 13th ranked Purdue, losers of 3 in a row. They've lost to Michigan, Michigan State, and were beat pretty soundly at home by Wisconsin. They're at Indiana, arch rival. And Indiana gave Purdue a hard time before the losing streak. Now this one's in Bloomington, 1:30 Eastern CBS on Sunday. Ohio State's at UCLA at 3:45 on CBS, and USC all the way across the country to Rutgers at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific on FS1. By the way, this weekend, the women, some good games here. Penn State at Michigan on Saturday, 12 noon on the Big Ten Network. Purdue is at 8th ranked Ohio State at noon on the Big Ten Network. 3rd ranked UCLA is at Iowa. That's a 2 o'clock Peacock game. So I guess, let's see, I'm doing some quick math. That'd be 11 a.m. Pacific time for you UCLA fans. Indiana is at 22nd ranked Michigan State, 2 o'clock on the Big Ten Network, and Washington is at Nebraska, 3 o'clock Big Ten Plus. Northwestern at Wisconsin, 3 o'clock Big Ten Plus. 25th ranked Illinois, the ladies at number 4 USC, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific on FS1, and Rutgers is at Oregon, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. So a lot of great basketball on tap. And coming up in a moment, we will make our prediction on a handful of these games as we boldly always make our picks. So hang for that. We got that coming up here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten.